Hello, my little friends. Today, I will tell you the magical and heartwarming story of a very special lady. Her name is Mary Poppins. Once upon a time, in the busy city of London, there lived a family called the Banks family. They lived in a big, tall house on Cherry Tree Lane. Inside the house, everything was supposed to be proper and polite, but lately, things had been quite the opposite. Mr. Banks worked in a big bank. He liked order, rules, and silence. Mrs. Banks was kind and loving but often busy with her social causes. And then there were their two children, Jane and Michael Banks, who were sweet, curious, and full of imagination. But lately, Jane and Michael had been very naughty. Their nannies kept quitting, one after another. The children didn't mean to be bad. They just wanted someone who could understand them, someone who could see the magic in the world. One windy afternoon, the Banks family needed a new nanny again. Mr. Banks sat at his desk writing a very serious advertisement. He said, "We need someone firm, efficient, and proper." But Jane and Michael whispered their own version. "We want someone kind, who will play with us, tell us stories, and love us." Their father frowned at the idea, but the next morning, something quite strange happened. The wind began to blow, stronger and stronger, until the old nanny, Miss Andrew, was swept away down the street. And just then, floating gently down from the sky with her umbrella open, came Mary Poppins. She landed right at the bank's doorstep. Tap, tap went her umbrella. Mary Poppins had rosy cheeks, bright eyes, and a look that said she knew everything, and a little more. "Good morning," she said calmly. "I'm here for the position of nanny." Before Mr. Banks could even ask questions, she handed him her letter, written, oddly enough, in a neat, magical handwriting that shimmered for a moment and then vanished. And just like that, Mary Poppins was hired. Chapter 1, A Very Peculiar Nanny. When Jane and Michael first met her, they weren't sure what to think. She carried a small black bag that looked quite empty, yet, somehow, she kept pulling things out of it, a lamp, a mirror, even a plant. "How did you do that?" gasped Jane. Mary Poppins smiled, a little order and a touch of imagination. She said, "That very first evening, the children's room was neat and tidy. Their toys marched themselves back to their shelves. The beds made themselves, and even the curtains danced in the breeze." But Mary Poppins never explained anything, never questioned things that work. She would say firmly, then add, "Spit spot, time for bed." Chapter 2, A Walk in the Park. The next morning, Mary Poppins took the children out for a walk. They met Bert, a cheerful man who drew chalk pictures on the pavement. "Lovely day, isn't it, Mary Poppins?" said Bert with a wink. Mary Poppins only nodded slightly. "Children, what do you think of Bert's drawings?" Jane and Michael clapped. There were beautiful pictures of countryside hills, horses, and carriages. And then, poof, with a little tap of her umbrella, Mary Poppins made something extraordinary happen. "Hold my hand," she said, "and don't let go." Suddenly, the world swirled with colors, and they jumped into the chalk picture. They found themselves in a bright, sunny meadow. Birds were singing, flowers were dancing, and Bert was laughing happily. They rode on carousel horses, had tea with penguins, and sang songs that made everyone smile. When the day came to an end, Mary Poppins snapped her fingers, and they were back on Cherry Tree Lane, with no sign of chalk dust anywhere. Jane asked, "Did that really happen?" Mary Poppins raised an eyebrow. "Of course. Now, tidy up your shoes." Chapter 3, Tea with Uncle Albert. One Saturday, Mary Poppins took the children to visit her friend Uncle Albert. He was quite a jolly man, and a little strange. When they entered his room, they couldn't see him anywhere. "Where are you, Uncle Albert?" asked Michael. "Up here," "My boy," came a cheerful voice, and when they looked up, there he was, floating in midair. He was laughing so hard that he floated right to the ceiling. Mary Poppins sighed. "Oh, Uncle Albert, you've done it again." Jane and Michael began to laugh too, and to their surprise, they started floating as well. Soon everyone was giggling, sipping tea, and eating cakes in the air. It was the most wonderful tea party ever. But when Mary Poppins said, "That's enough nonsense," everyone slowly floated back down. Michael said, "But Mary Poppins, how can laughter make us fly?" "Because laughter lifts the heart, and the heart can do anything," she said softly. Chapter 4: The Bird Woman. A few days later, the children and Mary Poppins passed by the steps of St. Paul's Cathedral. There, an old woman sat feeding the birds. "Feed the birds, 2pence a bag," she whispered kindly. Jane wanted to stop and give her coins, but Mary Poppins said nothing. She simply looked at the woman with great tenderness. That night, Jane dreamed of the bird woman, and in her dream, the birds flew high above the city, spreading kindness everywhere. Mary Poppins never said what the dream meant, but somehow, Jane knew she was teaching them something important, that love and generosity were worth more than all the gold in the world. Chapter 5: A Visit to the Stars. One evening, when the stars shone brightly, Mary Poppins took Jane and Michael for a nighttime walk. The air sparkled, and the moon looked bigger than ever. "Where are we going?" asked Michael. "Up," said Mary Poppins. They held onto her umbrella, and whoosh, they floated up into the sky. The stars twinkled around them like diamonds. They met the constellation people, tiny shining figures who polished the stars and painted the moon's smile. "Mary Poppins," called one of them, "you haven't changed a bit." When they returned home, Jane whispered, "That was magic, wasn't it?" Mary Poppins tucked them into bed and said, "Every good night has a bit of magic, if you look for it." Chapter 6: The East Wind Returns. Time passed quickly on Cherry Tree Lane. The children had never been happier. They learned kindness, imagination, and respect, though Mary Poppins still made sure they brushed their teeth properly. But one morning, Jane felt a chill in the air. The wind had changed again. She looked out the window. The weather vane was turning east. Mary Poppins stood by her mirror, straightening her hat. "Are you going somewhere?" asked Michael, worried. "When the wind changes, I must move along," she said gently. The children's eyes filled with tears. "But you can't leave. We love you." Mary Poppins smiled, that warm, mysterious smile that said more than words ever could. "Don't be sad," she said softly. "I'll always be with you, in your laughter, in your dreams, and in every bit of magic you see." She opened her umbrella. The wind lifted her off her feet, and she floated gracefully into the sky, disappearing behind a cloud. Jane and Michael watched until she was gone. Then Jane whispered, "Do you think we'll ever see her again?" Michael smiled. "Of course. Whenever something wonderful happens, that's her." From that day on, the Banks family was different. Mr. Banks laughed more often. Mrs. Banks spent more time at home, and the children grew up kind and joyful, because once you've met Mary Poppins, you never forget her. And sometimes, on windy days, when the air was sweet and full of adventure, Jane thought she could hear a soft voice in the breeze saying, "Spit spot, time for bed." And that's how the magical nanny, Mary Poppins, changed the hearts of a family and reminded everyone that love, laughter, and imagination are the greatest powers of all. Goodbye with kind wishes, my little friends. Please like and subscribe to my channel.